Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to try something ambitious. I wanted to make a full-size chestburster from the Alien movies and if possible have it slithering on the floor. So I found a piece of foam which is about the right dimensions. So to start it off I'm going to draw out the rough proportions of the head and then cut it out with a hobby knife. When you're cutting this material it's a bit like cutting bread. It's not very neat or accurate, but it's somewhere near where you want to be. And with that in mind, I keep whittling away at it. There are also a couple of places I want to fill out, including the jaw and the back of the domed head. So get those pieces cut out and cover them with contact cement. With this stuff you need to cover both surfaces and spread it thin. And once it's dry to the touch, simply push them together. This stuff sticks almost instantly, so you need to make sure you're quite accurate. I repeat the same process for the other part. I didn't cut this one to size, so let it overhang. That way when I cut it, it will fit perfectly. This material is quite porous and not the easiest stuff to work with when you're wanting detail. So by giving it an all over blast with a heat gun, all the pores close a little bit, making the surface area harder, and therefore making it easier to cut and sand. So by using the sanding sponge, I shape it out the best I can, and then slowly but surely I keep whittling down the excess. And by doing this, I'm constantly exposing the fresh foam and therefore I need to bring out the heat gun again. And I keep repeating the process until I'm happy. Bear in mind this foam is only going to form the basic structure of the alien. High quality foam sheet will be used for the surface layer. And I'm going to start off with one of the trickiest parts, and that's the dome. I'm going to do this in two halves and I'm starting with the first one already. The quickest method to do it is to cut out a rough shape, slap it on and then fine tune it. Since this material will only stretch so far, I figured this is the best method, even though it means I'll be left with some visible seam lines, but those can always be filled in. And once again, the overlap comes in useful, but I can trim it down to size now. It's a little rough around the edges, but that's the dome done. You really have to trust the process with stuff like this, because they spend a long time in the ugly phase before they look good. Continuing on, I cut out the mouth. Now I'm preparing for the underside. I'm scoring on the shape of the ridges. Once again this sheet is way too big, but I'll cut it down to size afterwards. And then I apply some heat to it, and this will open up the cuts. Plus it will also make the foam more malleable, so that it will form the rough shape where I want it to go. But first I need to make the ridges more pronounced, and I do that by sticking little strips between each one of them. So when I glue this down, if I push down hard enough between the ridges, they should start to form. I continue adding on other details, and anywhere where the skin needs to be raised slightly, I just stick a piece of foam under it. So jumping ahead, I mark out the remainder of the body on another piece of foam. Then I cut it down to size and put it to one side for now, because I really need to get the upper half finished. So I continue to layer on all the details. And by the way, I'm rigging everything on this whole project. I'm relying mostly on guesswork and intuition, because once I start measuring everything out and making plans, it sucks all the fun out of it. Plus this method is not only more organic, but it's much quicker too. I think I have enough done for now, so I can move on to the next crucial step, and that's filling in all the gaps and making it look nice and smooth. Bathroom seal is ideal, as it has some flex to it. After wetting my finger, I smooth it into all the crevices. Then I put it to one side to dry for a while, and then I go over it all with a fine grit sandpaper. If I press down too hard the filler will crack, so I need to be gentle, especially around the mouth where there's a lot of curves. I'm going to put this to one side for now while I concentrate on the lower body and the tail. I've made a couple of slits and filled it with contact cement, so now when I close the gap I have a curve in the tail. I also carve out the tip of the tail and add a curve in the opposite direction. Because the tail is light and the head is heavy, I cut in a couple of holes and insert some weight, and this should keep it from falling over. For the belly section, I cut out, stuck on a sheet of foam, then I scored it, and now the heat gun opens up those lines a little bit. The tail is very straightforward, it's just a matter of cutting out strips and wrapping them around. It's just a matter of cutting them slightly smaller the further you go down. And if you've ever noticed, the tail design is identical to that of a facehugger. I think it's time to attach the head. I also had a couple of strips to blend the join a little bit better. Then I attached the arms, which are made off camera. And here's how it looks in its completed form. It will look more menacing once it has some teeth, but that'll be the final part I add. And now this little guy's ready for painting. So I mixed up a light brown / pinkish colour with acrylic paint. This stuff is quite thin, that will need multiple coats. The first layer will soak into the material, but after that you'll start seeing the colour come through. And it's from this point that it starts its metamorphosis from a bunch of parts into a creature. You can see how nicely the second coat is going on, and you can't see through it anymore. For the third colour I went lighter for the highlight, and to help hide the brush strokes I dabbed it on with a sponge. This also creates a mossy texture, which is more natural. Then I dabbed on the first of 3 layers of latex. This will dry almost clear, and it will leave a nice sheen to it, making it feel a bit more organic. For the final layer I mixed in some thickener, and this helped to create some lumps and bumps. Latex gets sticky when dry, so it's a good idea to brush on some powder, as this allows you to handle it without tearing off any chunks. For the teeth I'm going to use these styrene rods, but first they need to be sanded down to a point at one end. Once I have that, I cut it off at the preferred length and repeat the process until I've got a whole bunch of teeth. I use my tiny drill to mark out the pilot holes, then it's just a matter of forcing in the teeth. They're only going into foam, so there shouldn't be too much resistance. It's just a matter of trying to make sure they remain straight. And once those are all in, I'll secure them in place with a little drop of super glue, then paint them silver. And now for the gory part, adding on blood splatter. Bearing in mind that this thing has crawled out of a living being, so I use an old tatty brush to randomise the effect. I also mixed in a bit of UV resin to try and maintain that shine, so I need to cure that with a UV torch. And that's it, this little fella's completed. As you can see for yourself, it doesn't take too much effort to make your very own chestburster. Just have one little piece at a time, and before you know it, you got something in the house to scare the cat. But this little guy got grander ambitions. I finished in just in time when to take part in his very own photo shoot. So wait around till the end of the video and see glamour shots. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.